Hey everybody, this is Kimberly and you are watching Thriving on a Budget. Please subscribe below and I can share with you how my family saves money. Today I thought it would be a good idea to focus on how to utilize food out of your pantry as well as food out of your fridge to make sure things that don't go to waste, as well as just maybe a couple recipes that you haven't tried yet. Anyhow, first I was going to focus on chocolate chip pumpkin bread, which I love. And this is really the simplest pumpkin chocolate chip bread you could ever make. So you're gonna want a cake mix. Some of the good flavors for this particular one would be either white cake mix, yellow cake mix, or spice cake mix. I'm partial to the spice cake mix, but this is what I had in my cupboard for now for an example. So this is how yummy it's gonna look afterwards. You look on the side, you can see the yummy chocolate chips and stuff. So what you're gonna need is a cake mix, 15 ounces of pumpkin. This is like 32 ounces, so I'd either use half of that can or I'd pull out a second cake mix and I'd make a bigger batch. So you got your pumpkin, you got your cake mix, and then on the back, you would follow the directions of how much oil and eggs you're actually going to need. Then you would throw in your chocolate chips and you'd throw this in the oven for 375 for 50 minutes or until a toothpick or a fork doesn't stick. Truthfully, one of the easiest, like yummy bread recipes you can ever find. And just for a little reminder, if you wanted the heat time for the oven and the amount of time, that would be 375 for 50 minutes. Easy. Guys, I am so obsessed about making sure people have stuff in their food storage because stuff happens. If you notice, I haven't done a video for a couple of weeks. Money was a little bit tighter. And so I utilize what's in my pantry. And I think that's a really good habit to learn, because then, you know, even if things are tight, you can still have decent food. Another really simple one, this is fridge pickles. Okay, if you notice, I'm using plastic lids. I'm not using the metal sealing kind. So these are just super easy. These are fridge pickles. If you guys have an interest in canning and food preserving and stuff, let me know, and I can do a canning water bath video with the stock pot on another video. This is just a really simple way to kind of get your hands dirty and to try it. So you're gonna want some white vinegar, water, coarse kosher salt. I put a little bit of black pepper in mine just because I like that. You're gonna want some fresh dill, some garlic, and some cucumbers. Super easy. I made these a couple days ago and they are so good. So you're gonna combine all of these ingredients together and let that sit in your fridge for a couple of days. But if you're someone that's always wanted to play around with mason jars, you're somebody that's always wanted to utilize these, whether it's for canning or jams or anything, start. Like, the best way to start is to just try. And if it doesn't work out as well as you would like this time, you can always try again next time. A lot of people like these plastic lids because these are good if you're doing something that is for your fridge, or there's those people that do freezer jam. There's certain mason jars that can go in the freezer. These are not those. These are glass, so I would not put these in the freezer. But there's certain ones that are, I think, a sturdier glass or a thicker plastic or something that you actually can make freezer jam with. I typically am going to put something either in the fridge, or I will water bath can things so they can be shelf stable. I don't really put stuff in my freezer unless it's like, you know, frozen burritos or something. Okay, so super simple. We're going to start off by putting 4 garlic cloves in there, and we're going to put some fresh dill in there. So hold on, I'm going to set the phone down for 1 second so I have some free hands. Sorry guys. So see if I can prop that up. So I'm just tearing the dill and putting some in the mason jar. I'll let you see what that looks like in 1 second. Okay. So I got some garlic and dill in there, and then I got my sliced cucumbers, and you can just totally stuff this all the way to the top. But these turned out really good. I had been wanting to play around with pickles for a while, but I just kind of got distracted with other things. I've done apple butter before. I've done shelf-stable apple butter in a water bath can, and I really liked that. I've done peaches, I've done salsa. So if that's something you guys have interest in, is learning how to utilize produce in a mason jar for either your fridge or to do water bath cans so you can put it in your pantry long term, let me know and I can do some super simple videos on that. But it's really satisfying to be able to make these kinds of things for yourself. My husband really likes pickles a lot, and he was so excited that I was going to make him some homemade pickles this week. There's lots of different fun recipes. Some people really prefer sweet and sour or bread and butter. I'm more of a fan of traditional dill. That's just my preference. Not a huge fan of sweet pickles unless I'm going to chop them up and put it in like a tuna salad or chicken salad. But otherwise, dill is my preference. Okay, so that looks pretty jam-packed. And this is what the pretty one I did the other day looks like. When you're doing pickled stuff in the fridge, you're going to want to let it marinate for a day or so it can really get those flavors through. A lot of people recommend maybe 2 to 4 days. Totally up to you. Some people are like, it's soaked enough. So, yeah, your dill, your garlic, your cucumbers. Then this, I'm going to put a cup of white vinegar. Hopefully I'm not going to spill it. We'll see. That's not too bad. I could have made a bigger mess than that. Okay, so you're going to put your vinegar in there because you're going to want the acid to kind of break things down and help marinate that flavor through. And then this is a cup of just regular water. Okay, and so for me, because of how many cucumbers I have in there, it ended about here. I'm just going to top this off with a little bit more vinegar. And then I'll put in the spices that I personally use. So for me, vinegar, that's probably good. So if you look on top, the pickles are covered so they can soak and marinate with the vinegar and the garlic and the dill. Then right here I have my coarse kosher salt that I'm going to put on this. And the reason that you're going to want something like this for pickling is because just regular table salt, it's more metallic tasting. It's a lot smaller, it's a lot saltier of a salt. This is more like chunky crystals. It's got a more mild flavor, and so when you're using salt to do pickling type things, this is the salt that they're asking for. If you use table salt, there's chances you might over salt it. So just something to keep in mind. See if I can set you guys right here for a second. Sorry, I'm gonna actually put the salt in there and I don't have enough hands, so just give me 1 second and you can stare at my tablecloth, I guess, or the pickles. So I am putting in 1.5 tablespoons of this kosher coarse salt, and it's just going to give it a nice savory flavor and help make that brine. So yeah, look on top, there's the salt, and I'm going to shake this up in a minute. So 1.5 teaspoons, I hope I said that was teaspoons, teaspoons, 1.5 teaspoons of coarse kosher salt. Some people like to put sugar in this as well. I'm okay with putting sugar if I'm doing like pickled cabbage or onions, but if I am doing dill pickles, I like the dill flavor. I'm not a big fan of the extra sweet mixed with that. So there's that. And then some people put peppercorns and stuff in this. I'm actually just going to put regular ground pepper since this is for my fridge, and we're planning on eating these sooner. But since it's soaked in this vinegar, it will stay in your fridge good longer than if you just had a couple cucumbers sitting in your fridge. So people that garden, or if somebody gives you a lot of cucumbers that they had left over from their garden, this might be a good way to utilize those. So that's a thought, just because I like cucumbers, but sometimes I forget to use them and then they go bad and then I feel bad because I hate wasting food. And so this is a good way that if you have a lot of cucumbers, to make sure you're actually doing something with them. And you can always give these to family, friends, neighbors, whatever. And so I just put a couple dashes of the black pepper Gonna kind of shake it up so that salt and pepper can be fairly dispersed through there. And I'm gonna put that in my fridge for a couple of days, and those are gonna be really, really good pickles. These are good hamburgers, turkey sandwiches, whatever. But if you've ever wanted to make homemade pickles, this is the easiest way to start and to try. So if you look, these ones have been soaking longer, so they're lighter colored. But fridge pickles, super, super easy if that's something you want to play around with. And just one more time so you can see, these are what the plastic lids look like. You can pick these up at Walmart, the reusable lids. So yeah, so if you're interested in, or also these are good for if you ever do dry mixes. There's a lot of awesome recipes on Pinterest for dry soup mixes you can do in mason jars. And just so you don't feel like you're constantly buying new lids, this is something else that would be good for, is if you're doing brownie mixes or soup mixes in a jar, you would want something like this so the lid's more reusable. But things to think about: super, super easy fridge pickles, super, super easy chocolate chip pumpkin bread. I hope that this was helpful, you guys, and can help you start to think about fun things you can make with what's in your pantry and how to salvage things in your fridge so they don't go bad. But this is Kimberly, and I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome day.